Football, and that is metal fabrication. Of course, there is a life after football. Now, I want us to get into the conversation that we are having this afternoon, and it's all about sports therapy. And joining me right now is a sports and performance psychologist, that is Kanyali Ilako. Good afternoon, Kanyali. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I am doing good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing fine. Welcome to Scholar. And of course, we want to get into the conversation this afternoon. And of course, the biggest question is, first of all, before we get deeper into this conversation, is do Kenyans understand the importance of sports therapy?
I think we have gotten to a point where the stigmatization of mental health is not as bad as what it used to be. However, it's still sports therapy or sports psychology is a very new concept, not only in Kenya, but also just in the field of psychology. So the whole idea is to hopefully get more and more people to get on board and understanding what exactly it is and why it is important.
Now that you've spoken about that, so could you at least, briefly elaborate what it is and the importance of having it?
So basically what sports psychology is about, it's about enhancing the mental skills that you have as a human and also as an athlete. So basically just how an athlete would go for training, physically, so like strength and conditioning training. So we also now use the mind, because, we say that if you're not strong mentally, you won't be able to perform as well physically, no matter how much training or how many hours you may spend in the gym. So that's just what we do.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the coronavirus pandemic, this period that we are in, has of course come with its challenges, and the athletes that we have in the country and the whole world in particular have been affected in different ways. What can you say about helping athletes when you talk about mental illness effects that have been brought along by this coronavirus pandemic?
Yes, so the pandemic has brought about a lot because also athletes are used to being on the move a lot, so either you're out with your teammates, you're training, or you're traveling for competition, you're meeting people, and then all of a sudden, this has just stopped. So the way in which you're used to expressing yourself, being out on the field and expressing that emotion has suddenly stopped.
Yes.
So athletes are being faced with a lot of anxiety, frustration and irritability. And then eventually that may bring about depressive moods, where it gets to a point where there's no point, there's no hope. What are we looking forward to? We don't even know when this will end. And so this brings about negative impact on your mental health. And if there's no way in which you have, if you're not using or rather coping positively, then you might end up hitting a slump. So the idea of working with or seeking therapy is to help you, even as the pandemic is going on, just to help you to continue not only cope, but also thrive, so that once the pandemic is over and you are getting back into the season of sports, you're not starting from scratch.
So what should athletes and sportsmen and women in general do to make sure, that they avoid instances that can lead to mental illnesses during this time?
So there's a variety of things that athletes can do. And of course, it's different, athlete to athlete, team to team. So what we do is just give out a variety of skills. So some of the ways in which that athletes can use this time to refocus. So the first thing is focusing on the things that you can control.
Yes.
Okay, so the one thing that, so forget about thinking about the pandemic and watching news. And so what are the things within your control? So focus on those things. And then the other thing that athletes can do is, which has been found to be really helpful, is watching old wins. So this will help you maintain the positivity and the motivation to keep pushing and even training during these times. Another thing that we can do is just reset our long and short-term goals, just to continue to give you purpose or like something to look forward to.
Yes.
And other things that they can use as well is seeking help. It's not a bad thing to say that I have a problem, I need help. It's very important to be able to seek help, speak to your teammates and your coaches or your family members or anybody that you can trust, to express yourself. And also using or finding this time to use or like express yourself in different to express your emotion in different creative ways. So if you've always wanted to play a musical instrument or dance or journal, it's been found that expressing yourself creatively will help or gives the same benefits as expressing yourself on the field or on the court or in the swimming pool.
Kanyali, when you take let's center it on Kenya, and most people feel that, sports in Kenya is semi-pro. It's not a full professional. And the athletes and sportsmen, or rather sportsmen and women that engage in this sometime, or rather during this pandemic, they feel like, after this, there's no coming back. So now they get into this, let me say, they get into this situation that, should I just, at the end of it, where I am at this moment, give up on sports and just, seek something else? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. You shouldn't give up. And that's why I just mentioned, resetting your goals. You may have started the year, for example, because the pandemic hit in the beginning of the year. So you knew that by a certain point of time. And then also it's a very important year for sports because there was going to be the Olympics as well.
Yes.
So it's so you had already started and set your goals for the year, and then the pandemic hit, and you shouldn't give up. You should just go back and then reset the goals. So think about it. So short term could be anything from weeks, what you're going to do in the week, to about 3 months. Okay.
Yes.
So you're just and then also it's important to also realize that as an athlete, you're also a human being, first of all. So taking care of all your needs as a human first, using this time to do all the things that because this is the time that we have now to probably, for example, I mentioned that athletes are constantly on the move. So now this is the time where now you can recenter, re-strategize, continue to enhance relationships with family members.
Yes.
Use this time to speak to your teammates and your coaches and think about, when we leave this, it's not the end. You can still have that career as a sports person.
Of course, earlier on I spoke to your friend, that is Rowena Tirop, and she said that you are offering free therapy sessions for sportsmen and women. Why have you taken such an initiative to help sportsmen and women in the country?
Yeah, so Rowena and I are both sports psychologists.
Yes.
And we decided that this has been a very tough time, not just for athletes, for everybody as well.
Yes.
But then athletes specifically, because we tend to forget that an athlete is also a human. We automatically assume that an athlete is is superhuman, nothing affects them, everything goes, everything is fine with them.
Yes.
So we thought that this is a situation that has hit them hard as well. And we wanted not only to support them, but also just to enhance the importance of mental health and mental well-being, to keep enhancing that. So that's the idea of the initiative, is to offer the free therapy sessions for the 2 weeks.
Yes.
Just so that people and athletes are aware. And it's not just for athletes, it's also for coaches or anybody in the sporting fraternity, to just realize the importance of also training your mind and making sure that your mind is taken care of just as well as your body.
Well, thanks a lot. That is Kanyali Ilako, who is a sports and performance psychologist. Thanks a lot, Kanyali, for finding time to give us insights on, what to do during this coronavirus pandemic period, to make sure that you are well and also you are performing better when we get out of this period. Of course, Kanyali Ilako, they're giving free lessons, free mental health discussions on how you can get out of this how can you get out of this pandemic better. Now let's move on, and women in sports, in motorsport rather, WIM, Kenya's announced